This is Life in a Wine Bottle, where you get an in-depth look on what it takes to create and sell a bottle of wine. I'm your host, Nelson Pizarro. We have special guest, Maurice DiMarino. He oversees a little over 25 restaurants for the Cohn restaurant group. In part one of our podcast, Maurice shares with us his background, how he got into wine, and what he does exactly for the Cohn restaurant. Don't forget, subscribe to our YouTube channel and iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, or like us and follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Life in a Wine Bottle. Enjoy the episode. Quick shout out to our sponsors, Castelli Family Vineyards, where you can taste the love of the wine. Follow and like them on Instagram at CastelliFE. Bespoke Maestro. They make elegant dresses and suits benefiting any occasion. Follow them on Instagram at Bespoke Maestro. San Diego Wine Tasting App. Easy to use, free to download, fun to find a new winery. Download the app today on Apple Store and Google Play. Search for San Diego Wine Tasting App. The Cohn Restaurant Group. While each restaurant varies widely in terms of food and design, they all share in the Cohn's obsessive with hospitality. Their philosophy focuses on superior service and comfort, providing a premier dining experience for each guest. The quality and excellence of Cohn Restaurant has not gone unnoticed. Now let's get on with the show. How's everything going?
It's going well.
Yeah.
As best as it can be. I mean, it's we're going to find out today what the governor says. So.
Oh yeah, because they're saying they're trying to close down the restaurants, right?
Well, the indoor dining, yeah.
Indoor dining, yeah. And how many restaurants are you working with?
We have 26 right now.
26 right now. I know Ventana.
So Ventana, 383 Pacific, Pack Social, Graphic Publics, the Bobos, Island Prime, Sea Level, Costera, Prado.
That's the one I was talking about. That was the one I was thinking about, Costera. That's where I've been, I met you twice, or I met you at your office, but the Costera one. How's that one been going?
Good. It's good. They have plenty of outdoor space.
Yeah, so I feel like you're able to kind of do a lot more things there than most places.
Yeah, they have a little more flexibility. So
nice. Anything exciting this weekend?
Goodness, this weekend, yeah, played a little pitching putt with my kids and teaching them how to golf. So it was fun.
Oh, nice. Are you a big golfer?
No, but it's fun to get out there.
Yeah, do something a little bit different. How many kids do you have?
2.
Okay, boy, girl, or girl?
Yeah, boy and a girl.
Nice.
They're middle school, and he just started freshman in high school.
Okay, and how is their schooling going? Is he in virtual right now, or is he able to get out of school?
My daughter is virtual in middle school. She's part of the San Diego Unified District.
Okay.
And my son's in a private school, so he's actually in-person learning right now.
Okay, so that's really good. It gives the parents a break.
Yeah.
It's like it's so crazy right now.
Well, my daughter's still at home, but still,
yeah,
she can handle her own.
Okay, they're a little bit older.
Yeah,
and she's motivated. She's able to. Yeah, we have 3, but they're all in elementary school.
Yeah, it's a little different.
So, yeah, they're saying October 12th is when we're hopefully going like a half a day type of deal.
Yeah.
Like 2 or 3 hours and then an AM part and a PM part. So we're going to see what happens.
Yeah.
So, and nothing else with the wine world exciting in that end?
God, with the wine world right now, who knows? Things are just changing all the time. There's, with not having indoor dining going on, it's wine sales have dropped. I'm seeing a lot of everyone's trying to go to this virtual kind of experiences and stuff. So it makes it very difficult when you're going virtual with wine because in the restaurant business, you have to repackage the wine. And if you repackage it, you have to sell the food. So it makes it difficult to do those sorts of experiences.
Yeah.
So I've been turning towards cans and using a lot of the cans and stuff.
Okay.
I'm just hoping better product comes out in the cans. Because right now there's a lot of cans out there, but there's a lot of them that are not that good. So.
Okay, yeah, and that's kind of the new thing. And we'll get into that one down the road. I guess I'll give you a little bit about what we did today. I guess yesterday and today or this weekend. Yesterday we picked about 5,000 pounds of grapes, Sangiovese, and today we're picking 3,000 pounds of Cab Franc and 700 pounds of mail pack right now. So
Hmm.
it's been a busy morning right now. Starting
Yeah,
really early and just busting it through. But it's fun, all that hard work that you do, not just from this year, but when you planted the vineyard, it just now you're really feeling the benefits of the fruit and having a good time understanding a little bit better of that. So we're always excited, and all of our guests like to hear what we do, since most of my following are from people that know me and know the winery. So it's
sure.
great. So Maurice, so talk to us a little bit about your background. Give us where you grew up. Um, how did you got involved in the wine world? Little spiel of who you are.
All right. Well, I grew up in San Diego. I came here from. I was born in San Diego. Lived in Mexico as a little boy until about age of school, and moved back to San Diego and grew up in North Park, Mission Hills, and eventually, when I graduated high school, I decided to go try college and different colleges. I graduated from San Francisco State University, so I moved up to San Francisco for about 10 years. Lived up there in that region, and during the time I was living in San Francisco, what I was doing, I was traveling. So travel around the world. I'd be working in the restaurant business, kind of like just as a server, and then I would save money and travel for 3 months of the year, 6 weeks here, 3 months
Hmm.
there. Until I took a whole year off and traveled. And the whole idea was every time I went somewhere, I learned something new, culinary wise, beverage wise. And when I got back to the restaurants, there was always, oh, hey, I've had that before. Actually, I know where that comes from.
Yeah.
And so took an interest in that. I realized as a server, the more you knew, the better you were talking to people about it and explain the products, and then you got better tips.
Yeah. Oh,
So
of course. Yeah,
so
you gave
that's
them a
what
better service. You gave
yeah,
them.
yeah, better service, and it's all it was really all about service. Anyways, it was what you enjoyed doing was connecting with people, connecting with guests and stuff,
Mhm.
and turn them on to something new and different.
Mhm.
So eventually, what happened is I started working I kept working in the restaurant business as I traveled around, and then I started to manage restaurants where I took over the wine buying positions, and I just took over the wine buying positions. I had to train my staff, so that allowed me to get more knowledge. And eventually, when I moved to San Diego, I think it was in 2004, I opened Island Prime in 2005 and was a wine director there. And when I worked at Island Prime, I worked there for about 8 years. And during that time, we built up a lot of teaching that I was doing with the teams, and kind of taught a lot of the other restaurants that we had at the time. And so eventually I built my position here at the corporate office where I oversee all the restaurants. In the time in between there, I really had to focus away from wine and do more focus on spirits and beer because as a percentage of sales, spirits have a much higher percentage of sales than wine did within our company. And then beer was also rising. It was that
Yeah.
2013 or so when beer was just coming around.
Yeah. San Diego got huge.
Yeah, so I went and got my Cicerone and been studying a lot with spirits, and now I use pretty much most of my time working with those things now with all the restaurants.
Oh, nice. And then how long have you been in the restaurant industry?
Geez, I was 16, so
Oh, wow.
been a
And
long
then,
time. Yeah.
and the traveling was it down Central America, Europe? Was it everywhere or just specific areas that
Yeah,
you
it
went to?
was it was Europe, it was Central America, it was Asia, it was Australia, it was all over.
And from there, you're tasting wines there, or do you really have a love for the wine, or was it
I learned to appreciate it when I was traveling. You're traveling on a budget, so
correct?
you're not really doing the full on wine experience. I think what it allowed me to do is to see cultures and understand there's other things that are happening out there, and get a glimpse of what was happening. When I was in Australia, I didn't really realize how big wine was there. And it was, we're in California, we drink California wine. Well, you get to Australia, they don't have California wine in Australia. But we have Australian wine in California, which
Yeah,
makes it like, oh, wait a second, they must be doing something right there. If we have their wine, they don't have our wine.
that's
So
interesting, huh?
yeah, it's
And
just
New Zealand as well.
of course, all those nations,
Yeah.
all those nations. The other thing is that I just started taking appreciation for the things that are not around me and that are accessible to me, though. So that's kind of what it came down to be. and always learning about new regions and new areas. And I think every region in the world has something special to offer. So I think it's important to know that, and there's a time and place for it too.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're able to connect, like you said, to your guest. I mean, that's I would say 90% of your experience is with the server connecting with the guest, not just with the foods, with the beverages, and the culture. You know, hey,
Yeah,
I've been to that area. I love this area in your city. I love things like that. And like you said, the tips. I mean, at the end of the day, if you give somebody the best customer service, they will appreciate you. There's
yeah,
no, there's no denying on that. And you make them feel like you're the best friend. And the next time you most likely become a regular customer, and you grow your your knowledge and your customer service and your customers that route. So that's really cool that you found that at an early age, because a lot of people, it takes a long time,
yeah,
to really, you just, I'm just doing it as a job, and it is what it is, right? I'm just going to get by. Maybe I might go to college. Maybe I'm just going to be in the restaurant, whatever. So that's cool that you found the good passion that you really enjoy doing. So give us a little bit, any certificates or certifications, sommeliers, what's the end
yeah.
with you?
I'm certified sommelier, certified cicerone. I'm tequila certified by the CRT. I don't know. It's pretty much the extent of it, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was never really looking for certifications. I guess because you work in the business for so long that it's like it just becomes like second nature to you. Like,
Mhm.
what I realized when I had moved to San Diego, what I realized was that when my company asked me to get my sommelier certification, I said, "Why? I don't understand why you need a sommelier certification. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm already doing the job." Well, I realized
Right.
it wasn't for me; it was for my staff. So my staff felt like when someone came to the table and they said, "Well, can I speak to your sommelier?" They can turn to me and say, "Yeah, well, here's your sommelier." I
Yeah.
was their sommelier anyways, but they wanted to know there's a certification, a pin, and
Now
all that.
you have a paper.
Well,
You know,
yeah, the pen really, and
and they tell you, or the pen,
so
yes.
yeah, so it's really for the staff and the people around you. Then they feel like there's something for them to aspire to as well,
Hmm.
And I think that's what certifications are nice about. But
Yeah.
I think I stopped doing that. I stopped actively looking for certifications when got the role that I'm in now because it's really difficult to go anywhere within the on-premise uh, um, world. It's very difficult to go any further.
Correct.
And I'm
Yeah.
already at the position that many people would like to be at, and I enjoy what I'm doing. So
Yeah, yeah. It's part of the job description.
yeah,
The further you want to go, the different pins you want to try to accomplish. And the wine, were you into wine before this, or was it more beer, spirits, anything?
what are you talking about? My early 20s,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
oh yeah, my early 20s. Come on, like every other 20-year-old, like at the bar drinking beer, drinking Sierra Nevada.
The beer, that's it. Yeah, the cheapest stuff,
Yeah,
Coors
yeah,
Lights.
you wouldn't have wine. Wine was too expensive.
Yeah, not even the $2 chuck.
No, it tastes gross. No, when it was, you're before you're 21, you're drinking wine coolers. Remember those?
Yeah, yeah,
Bartles and James and the California coolers.
yeah.
Back
That is.
in the high school days,
Yeah, most people. Yeah, I always tell people. I guess you start hitting a certain point in your life that you start appreciating the dine and wine experience, and that's where it's more like, oh, I'm gonna have a good time and pair these foods with these wines, and really enjoy yourself. Right? It's not so much of a, like you said, a party scene. The wine world.
Yeah, I think it's an economic thing.
Yeah.
I think
Uh,
once you're able to sustain living for yourself and have expendable income to buy wine, then
mhm.
you start buying wine if you're into it.
Yeah.
I think that when you're in your early 20s, you're just making enough money to pay your rent, pay your car bills, get to school, pay for college, if you're paying for college, whatever it is, pay off loans.
Mhm.
That if I'm going to have a beer, I can buy a beer at the restaurant for $5-6, and then
Yep.
a glass of wine is $12-15. Like, it's
A
insane.
glass, yes, a glass.
So,
Okay. Well, so talk to us a little bit about the Cohn Restaurant Group. What do you do there exactly, and how many restaurants do you manage or oversee?
so I'm the beverage manager for the restaurants. What that means is I oversee a beverage program for about 26 restaurants.
Hmm.
What I do is I set up programs every couple of years within our supplier network. And what these programs are a way for our teams, our managers, and our bar managers to stay within a program for picking up products and ordering their wines, beers, and spirits. Programs are based around how we can earn the most amount of education for our teams, how we can get support from marketing, how we can get support on having good products available to our guests.
Hmm.
And when I first came in this position, I was asked to make a list of wines, 50 list of wines, and then our teams had to pick from those wines and they'd be on the menu. I kind of didn't want to do that because I felt that that would be narrowing down our managers' choices. And knowing how I felt when I used to buy wine, I like being able to discover something new, pick it up myself, and I stood behind it. I talked to my staff about it. I talked to my guests about it. It was something that I felt ownership over it. So I do the same thing with my team series. I want them to feel ownership over it. So I set programs around particular suppliers where they have a book that's big enough to have wines from all over the world, and they can pick within those books. But we still, kind of keep buying low and spending low as well.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I mean,
So
it's a
that's kind of
business at the end of the day,
yeah,
right?
that's kind of part of what I do, and then the other part would be running events, running promotions. So any of those kind of promotions you might see that we do blasting out on our social media or any of the events that we do, the new virtual events since COVID hit. But before that, we were doing a lot of live events, wine festivals, tequila festivals, vodka festivals, dinners, wine sales, all kinds of different things. And then I also do education. So I teach all the teams. I do a lot of training with them. Pre-COVID, I was going around to teach restaurant once a month and teaching about wine, beers, and spirits to the staffs, set up training programs, and then also running our commissary, which is a kind of an area where we keep large buying, large bulk items, so the restaurants can kind of pick and choose the things they have out of the commissary there.
Okay. So, I mean, you got a big job. That's a that's a huge role, especially going and investing so much time on your servers and managers. Because obviously the restaurant industry is there's a lot of turnover rate, right?
Yeah,
For servers, so you're not getting discouraged, basically. Because if you're going and talking to them about this and like pushing and pushing and pushing, because you never know, because those are the ones they're your front line, and they're the ones that are selling for you, right?
yeah.
Selling these products and helping grow the restaurants and making sure those customers that live in that area are coming back to you guys. Not just with the wines, but with the foods as well.
Yeah, I feel like I repeat myself a lot when I'm going to these
Yeah,
tournaments.
yeah,
I'm constantly
it's crazy.
repeating over and over. I think I've told you this before, but I know there's always someone there who's hearing it for the first time. So I
Hmm.
just say it over and over again.
Yeah, yeah, and you never know. You forget about that,
Yeah,
right? Because you've done it so long, and just the simple things that you always did back then, you think they know how to do it, and then it's just a little reminder, and that all of a sudden is changing your weekend sales because you gave them that extra tip that it just makes sense to you, but other people didn't. So since you started doing that, and the role of getting so much wine, I mean, you're really looking, or not just wine, but the alcohol, the beverage side of it. Are you seeing that it's more of a challenge of keeping track of the vendors and the relationship with them, or how do you feel? Because I mean, you got a big role where you're at. What do you see there?
yeah. I think vendor relationships is really important. That's something I kind of try to teach my managers. I think a lot of times when you're in the restaurant or you're in the buying side of it, you tend to have this kind of almost a power trip in a way. Like you feel like they owe you something and they have to work for you. And I try to get rid of that mentality because it's a partnership. And in order for them to sell their products, I have to sell it for them. And in order for me to sell them, I need their support, whether it be from education or on their in their restaurants and talking to my teams. And I think it's important that we have that two-way street. We're all human, so we all make mistakes, and managers make mistakes, vendors make mistakes, and we got to make sure that we able to work in a way that it's a partnership rather than, hey, you owe me rather than I owe you and all that. I think that's the biggest thing, and vendor relationships is important. The problem is that the vendors change so much as well. So it's also important to realize the business,
Hmm.
and you're not working with a person, you're working with a company. And so sometimes a certain company might lose the person you had a really good connection with, and they put somebody else in there who doesn't have the same connection. Well, at that point, you got to work with that person and kind of educate them and let them know what your needs are and what you
Yeah.
expect from them. Because if you don't do that, then you're just going to throw your hands up and say, "I'm not going to work with the company anymore." Well, it's not the company that did it. It's the fact is that your relationship with that person is not quite correct. And I think it's important for us to, kind of step aside, put the ego off to the side a little bit,
Hmm.
and realize where the business starts and where the personal relationships are, and then be able to intertwine those kind of like in a weird, like a symphonic kind of artistic way,
Yeah, yeah.
because it's really difficult. And also, you know, because I have a good relationship with a certain vendor, doesn't mean that all my managers are going to have the same relationship with that vendor. So I try to teach my manager, say, look, this is we're working with this company. You need to work with them, and if there's any issues, talk to me about it so we can resolve those issues before we just throw up our hands in the air and say we're not doing any business with them. You
Yeah,
know?
before it blows up like to a
Yeah, I
proportion
mean,
that you're just like, yeah,
there's sometimes that the company itself it makes big mistakes that are
yeah, yeah.
irrepressible, and so of course, then that's when we decide to make those decisions. But it's just important that we're not just thinking like on a whim and we have hot air and we just got to make decisions on the fly. I think that happens way too much, and I think that's you just and you burn bridges down the road and try not to burn bridges. So
Yeah, it's too. You don't want it to make it too cutthroat.
yeah.
Even though the industry is really, especially the restaurant industry, it's just so fast moving. You don't even know if they're going to stay alive, within 6 months, right? So yeah, I completely feel, and that's, obviously in the winery, you have to have that sense of passion to what you're doing and that connection with the relationships that you're building there. It
Right.
just takes time, and if you can find a good person, a good vendor, and they move to another company, another beverage company, at least you can talk with them and see what budget that other, they could be in a big company that they move to or a small mom and pop company, and they don't have the same budget as you've been used to working with. So at least you can still talk to them and keep that relationship open. That's great. I love the input that you keep on putting in there because let's just put, I guess, I like to always share stories of how I get connected to anybody I talk in the podcast. And through you guys, I was connected. How did I contact you guys? Through soccer. I don't know if I told you that.
Hmm.
You're I forgot, maybe it was Jennifer. I forgot what the owner's name, or one of the owners, the wife,
Jessica.
Jessica.
Hmm.
Her son, his name is Griffin, and
Hmm.
he plays at a soccer team in Domar,
Hmm.
and he was on the other team in the same age, so I kind of got into that. And somebody told me, hey, the Cohn restaurant has this, so I searched you guys, and I didn't talk to Jessica. I went directly to you, and you were just so open. You said, yes, come on over. I went to your place. You gave me your feedback on my wines. We built a relationship there a little bit. Then you invited me a couple of events that you had, which I loved it. Um, and then you were just very upfront with everything. You weren't kind of like, hey, yeah, you're amazing, you're doing everything good, and then I didn't hear from you. You know what I mean? There's a
Hmm.
lot of times you get that and you're like, well, is the wine really good, or is it they're just saying it so that you can get out of here and then on to the next one? But you really were giving me great feedback, and now we're in another stage of our business that we're able to kind of start going after the restaurant side.
Hmm.
So in these podcasts that I like doing and that I am creating is more of sh- entertaining and sharing information to everybody else, but also I'm learning so much, you know, and it's just another route that the wine world is so well connected that you never know who. And I just had Lisa Red Wine
Sure.
last podcast, and she's doing her part two is coming out tomorrow. So it's really fun doing this stuff, getting interaction and hopefully I just grow and somebody else new coming along is growing as well with the same passion that that you have with the beverages and helping everybody out there. Um, so you gave us about five, no, not five, but 25 different restaurants that you oversee. Is there? I know I read in a website. I think it's your personal website, a club membership. Is that for the restaurant or is that for your personal side?
No, we were doing a club called Prime Crew, which was a way to engage our clientele,
Hmm.
events and special deals we had online. Now it's kind of just grown into our kind of like wine database, pretty much. So all those emails you might get from our company might come from that kind of database. And
Okay.
what it is for just letting people know what's happening. Once I took this position, I was a lot more work I put on my plate, so I wasn't able to really focus as much on the wine club. But now make it a little bit broader and make it more with spirits, beer, and wine, and make it a little bit larger.
Okay.
Yeah,
And that's for everybody, correct?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, and how do you get people signed up on that? Is that
So
for the
it's
restaurants?
it's not a traditional wine club where you go buy a membership and you get wine sent to you.
Mhm.
It's really just it transformed now into a email list pretty much where you're kept on the loop of what's happening.
Okay.
You get a notification of our promotions, our special dinners, our events, our any wines that we're selling, any wine sales, things like that. But
Okay.
it's not like a traditional wine club where you get a membership and you get 3 bottles of wine and stuff
Mhm.
like that.
Okay.
We're
And
looking
then,
at something like that down the road, but not at this point.
what about like how are you getting the customers to sign up? Is there an email address that they're sending
In
to
the
or
restaurants,
in the restaurants? So you
in the
basically,
restaurants.
as soon as they sign, they pay for their meals or their dinner, you got their email, and then you just follow it up from there.
Yeah, there's they can fill out the little card.
All right. So I'm just saying that just just to help you promote a little bit for the guests that are listening, you know, things like that I always like to do for when people are on this podcast. And then the seminars or the classes that you've been doing, I know you're saying that was that mainly for the staff or is that for anybody in general? And this is based on the website that I was
Yeah,
reading from you.
yeah. So those seminars were based for staff, and then I transformed them into working for our guests as well. So in the past, we would do like California wines, and we'd have a seminar in California wines. The guests come in, they taste the wines, they buy the wines, they enjoy some food. We've done other seminars from wines from all over the world. But it was intended for our staff, and now I felt, I think our guests really get a kick out of it and really enjoy learning. There's no way for them to go out and taste and learn without like paying some crazy fees for some sort of scholarship or some sort of program in the school.
Yeah.
But so it's like something to do on a weekend and they come out and join us and have a class like that. But I also teach at San Diego State University because that's another outlet for people to try out.
Yep.
And with Lisa Redwine, she's over there as well.
Yep.
And we're at the San Diego State's World Campus, I think it's called now, the Global
Right. Right.
Campus. And it's and they have a business of wine school there. And I think a lot of guests might actually enjoy partaking in that. They can sign up for as many or as little classes they want to, and it's you know, uh, 3 days or 3 weeks and 3 hour classes, and it's a good way to immerse yourself. Like say if you want to learn about California or South America or introduction to wine or how to evaluate wine, sensory evaluation. So I do 4 classes there.
Okay. And which classes are you doing? Tell us the
I
name
do
of the classes.
Yeah, I do sensory evaluation. I do California wine, South American wine, and
Okay.
Spanish wine.
Okay, so those are names of the classes, just in case if somebody wanted
Yeah,
to just do that specific, because
yeah,
that was basically the last podcast of the courses at the offer, and she gave us the rough cost time frame to look at how long the program takes and what to look for. Who it's basically everybody that enjoys wine, restaurant industry, just a spouse that they just love talking about wine and they
yeah.
just wanted to get a little bit more. Like you're saying, California wines, easy. They're
You
in
know,
the area and they can travel up and down the coast and try
a
different
lot
wines.
of professional people that have their professional jobs. They're not looking to change career, but they're looking to have a hobby, and
Yep.
that's a good way of doing it. Is really immerse yourself in it that way.
And like you said, is a big part of becoming in the I guess the wine world is just that extra income that you get. So they're most likely working, and they're like, hey, I'm doing pretty well for myself with my family. I love wine. Let me start going that route, right? And then all of a sudden they're like, maybe I shouldn't have did that because now it's getting a little more expensive with the club memberships and just bottles are coming in every other month. So, but I thank you for sharing that. That's the classes that you do. Is there a cost for those classes, or is this kind of
Yeah, there's costs. There's a cost for the program. You can sign up for the whole program, or you can sign up for individual classes, and each one will vary.
okay?
Depends on the time frame of the class and how many wines are shown in the class as well. So,
And
um,
then, but what about the one from the restaurants? Is that the
oh,
one?
those are a cost. Yeah, there's maybe ranging with depends what the class is, and probably $35, $40, something like that.
Okay. Oh, so it's not too bad. And
No,
it's a fun day, and you're basically most
yeah,
likely you're hanging out,
you bring
tasting
some
wines,
friends.
and
Yeah,
yeah,
you bring
you
some
most
friends, sit
likely know
out,
some people. Yeah,
try wines you haven't had before. Don't
yeah.
worry.
That was the end of part one. Thanks, Maurice and the Cohn Restaurant Group for sharing with us your background and also what makes you guys so unique. In part two, Maurice gives us some great tips and advice on building great relationships with a vendor. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube, iTunes, Google Play channels, and also follow and like us on Facebook and Instagram at Life in a Wine Bottle. Thank you for listening. I'm your host, Nelson Pizarro, and we'll see you guys next week.